All right, good morning, guys. Mike, Herd 360. And this morning, it's something I've been wanting to do for quite some time, and I've actually been, let me pull this out, actually been running a bunch of tests on batteries, measuring their capacity, okay? And capacity on batteries is measured in the amp hours or milliamp hours. Excuse me. And still drinking my coffee too. So I bought a new little test device, really cool. And I'm able, with that device, I'm able to run it at a 1 amp load. I can change the load on it too, but I can also change the cutoff voltage. And so I can test batteries at different cutoff voltages. Really cool option. Amp hours, just real quick, amp hours, when we're talking about these batteries, is basically 1 amp draw per however many hours it's able to provide that 1 amp draw, or 1 amp of power. So if you ran your battery at a 1 amp load for 8 hours and then it finally gave up, then you would consider that an 8 amp hour battery. All right, and so some of these, reason I really wanted to talk about this is because I've been in this external battery box game and external battery for trail cameras. I wouldn't say longer than anybody, but a pretty dang long time. I'd like to feel like I've pretty much pioneered a lot of it, but I've been doing it a long time and I'm always learning. And sometimes when I do get opportunities, I try to research and learn more. And I originally started out using seal lead acid batteries of various brands I'd find on eBay and Amazon, and then started noticing that the Power Sonic was predominantly used in industrial applications, and I started using those and really promoted them. I didn't sell them, but I promoted them because some of my oldest seal lead acid batteries, actually my oldest seal lead acid battery was a Power Sonic 6 volt 12 amp hour, and it outlasted all the other brands, including Mighty Max and all these others. So so where I'm at now, with technology changes, and lithium batteries have really gained a lot of traction, particularly the lithium iron phosphate batteries. They are just a wonderful chemistry and component to use for batteries, and they just really shine in the cellular game cameras and trying to run your cellular game cameras as long as you can. They really excel, they really shine. So let's talk a little bit about that. All right, seal lead acid batteries. First of all, the manufacturers, and this is based on some of my most recent research, your manufacturers would like to see you recharge these seal lead acid batteries when they hit about 75% capacity. So meaning that you've only been able to use about 25% capacity of this battery, and then they want you to recharge it. Why? Because these batteries and their chemistry, it doesn't lend well to being discharged fully without being recharged quickly. So you don't want to, like this one here, I drained it down pretty good until my device cut off, and it's sitting now at a partial charge below 50%. I don't want to leave it there. If I leave it there, it's going to damage the battery. Okay, it's causing a chemical reaction in there. I'm not going to get into all of that. You can go look it up yourself. And I'm certainly not an expert on sulfation and all of that, but it will damage this battery. So it's meant to be used and then charged back up, used and charged back up, used and charged back up. They work pretty good in a solar application if you've got a good solar controller. So you're not ever hopefully draining that battery down too far before your solar panel the next day, or when the sun comes out is recharging it back up. So they will work pretty good in that. Another characteristic of these batteries is they're freaking heavy, because seal lead acid batteries means it's got a lot of lead in it, and they're just heavy batteries. Okay. Another thing that you'll see with these batteries, when you put them in sealed enclosures, once you do let them drain down too far, they do off gas a little bit, and so you'll get some corrosion on some components inside the battery box if it's not vented. Okay. But let's get down to the LiPo4s. All right, so lithium iron phosphate. It's amped outdoors. This is one of mine. It's rode around in my side-by-side for miles and miles and miles. It's been used quite a bit over the last year, and I recharged it and took some readings. Lithium iron phosphate, 2,000 charge cycles on these bad boys if you take care of them, if you charge them properly with a good charger that is meant to charge them. These right here, 400 to 500 charge cycles at best if you maintain it properly. Okay, these right here, you can take them down to 10 volts. They have a built-in battery management system in them, so they have a circuit board in there that is monitoring battery voltage. It does not allow them to overcharge, but and more importantly, it doesn't allow them to over discharge, so that once that battery voltage gets down, or the capacity gets drained down to a certain level, the BMS, battery management system, in this battery is going to shut it off and protect that battery. All right, so more about that in just a minute. Seal lead out. Here's another seal lead acid. This is a small one. It's a 12 volt 8 amp hour. Get back to that discharge part. The 75% of one of these is basically 2.1 volts per cell. Okay, this is a 12 volt battery. It has 6 cells in it. When you fully charge these up, they'll charge up close, sometimes even close to 14 volts, depending on your charger. But they'll usually, once you get them charged up fully, they're usually going to hang around 13.4 or so. And then if you let them sit for a while, they'll drop back. If it's in good condition, they'll drop back to about 12.8 over time. So that 12.8 over 13 volts, that's a fully charged seal lead acid battery. If you take it down to 75% to recharge it, you're looking at 12.1 times 6. So what is it? That's, or excuse me, 2.1 times 6 cells, 2.1 volts times 6 cells. And what is that? That's 12.6 volts. So at 12.6 volts, this battery is already at 75% capacity. All right, so and within the battery charging industry, it's been accepted that you can take these down to 12 volts. All right, so once you get to 12 volts, you're at 50% capacity. If you let this battery continue to drain down, you're going to get down to below 50% capacity, but you're going to start damaging the battery, and the next time you recharge it, it's not going to last as long. So you're not going to get your 400 or 500 recharge cycles out of these things. These right here, the battery management system takes care of that for you, and they can be discharged longer. They can also sit without a charge or without being recharged for an extended period of time. So let's think about how trail cameras and cell cameras work. You hook a seal lead acid battery up to it, and it's sitting out in the woods, and it's using power as it's transmitting photos over a cellular network, but it's slowly discharging that battery. So that means that this battery right here, you're not doing it any good by letting it discharge slowly over time. Let's say it takes, everybody's different. They get different amounts of pictures. I got customers that get 400 or 500. One guy said he gets 1,000 pictures every 24 hours. But some guys get 1,000 pictures in 2 months. So let's just say this battery sits out in the field for 6 months, okay? And it's slowly discharged. finally you go get it and your camera has shut off, and so you say, well, I need to recharge my battery. You go pull it, you bring it home, and you charge it. You have really damaged your battery. On another note, what you've also probably done is destroyed your battery if you allowed that camera to shut off, because most of your cell cams today will run a battery down to below 7 volts before they actually shut off. My Wise Eyes, Tacticams, the Spartan Go Live, I've actually measured it down where it'll pull a seal lead acid battery down to 6 volts before it is able to before it's able to continue recharging that internal battery. So once that internal battery of the Go Live can no longer be recharged, then it drains down too. But this battery's ruined. It wouldn't even take a charge anymore. Even on repair function on my charger, it would not take a charge. So I ruined this battery. That won't happen with a seal or with a battery with a BMS built into it. So let's look at some numbers though. This is what I really wanted to talk to you about, was some numbers. This is another lithium iron phosphate. I've got 3 of these prototypes. They made them to my specs for me, and I've been testing them, and that's a future project. But really excited with the performance I'm getting out of those. And let's take a look at this. All right, so here we go. These are the batteries I tested. I didn't test them all at the various voltages, but I wanted to show you. I actually did test this one at the various voltages, but I don't have all the numbers written down. But the Mighty Max 15 amp hour seal lead acid battery, all right? If I set that cutoff voltage at 5 volts, this was with a fully brand new battery, fully charged with a good smart charger. At 12 volts cutoff, this battery, this Mighty Max 15 amp hour, delivered 5.784 amp hours. I wrote milliamp hours, that's wrong. 5.784 amp hours. That's all that I was able to get at 12 volts, when really is below when the manufacturers say you should recharge them. At 11.5 cutoff voltage, it gave me 10.253 amp hours, okay? At 11 volt cutoff, now I'm damaging the battery now, according to what the manufacturers tell us. 11.15 amp hours. It was all that this battery would produce. It's a 15 amp hour battery. I'm not getting my 15 amp hours out of it. And I'm damaging the battery, so it's not going to last that long. All right, so let's take a look. Let's see the Brightway. This came with Texas Hunter feeder, seal lead acid. Of course, I run it with their solar charger, so that's not really an issue. It's going to last a pretty good long time because it's going to stay charged all the time. Let's see, this is an 8 amp hour battery, and at 11.5 cutoff volts, 3.234 amp hours was all that this 8 amp hour battery was able to deliver, and that's pulling it down below 12 volts, which is something that I shouldn't do. 30 amp hour amped outdoors at 12 volt cutoff, which was the 12 volt, meaning that my device cut off before the BMS cut this off. I was able to get 29 amp hours. At 10 volt cutoff, which means I let it run all the way until the BMS cut off. I don't really know what voltage the BMS cut it off at. I don't know what they have there set at. But I did get 30.1 amp hours out of this 30 amp hour battery. Nothing wrong with this battery. We haven't damaged it at all. I can go and pull it and recharge it, and 30 amp hours is a beast. It's going to last freaking forever. This prototype right here, I'm not going to tell you anything about it other than it's a 20 amp hour battery, and it is a lithium iron phosphate composition. At 12 volts, we got 20.2 amp hours, and at 10 volts, I got 21.08 amp hours. Now, this BMS is set to shut off at like 10.1 volts, and so I was able to get 21 amp hours out of a 20 amp hour battery, and I haven't damaged the battery whatsoever by pulling it all the way down. And all your cameras, your 12 volt trail cameras, are going to run down below 10 volts anyway, and a Tacticam will show you 100% charge on an external battery all the way down to just below 7 volts. So I know I'm giving you a ton of information. All right, the Amped Outdoors 15 amp hour. At 10 volt cutoff, we got 15.36 amp hours. At the 20 amp hour, at 12 volt cutoff, which means it cut off before the BMS actually triggered, 19.8 amp hours, and at 10 volt cutoff, 20.5 amp hours. So it did its full rating on 20 amp hours when using the BMS to cut the battery off. So just guys, huge value per dollar with these lithium iron phosphate batteries. Now you got to be careful on Amazon. There's a lot of these companies on Amazon. They're Chinese direct companies, and they are actually using recycled cells, C-grade cells, and they're just repackaging them in brand new battery cases and selling them direct on Amazon. That's why they're able to do it so cheap. So cheap is not always good, guys. And they're also not going to give you a 5-year warranty. Amped Outdoors has got a 5-year warranty on there, so he's great about honoring his warranties and taking care of you. U.S. company. Matt's a great guy. Full support. This right here will be an American supported product, and 5-year warranty on that as well. I don't think these really have much of a warranty. The Mighty Max are at it. But anyway, you're not getting your money's worth out of these guys. You're not. You're not getting your amp hours that you're paying for. You're not getting your runtime, and you're throwing your money away. Is it a better value than AA batteries? Absolutely. Run it one season and you probably paid for itself in the amount of batteries, Energizer or AA batteries, that you don't have to replace. But long run time, great shelf life. Also, seal lead acid batteries will freeze on you in extreme cold. You damage the battery when that happens. These right here will run down well below 0 and function just great. So I just can't tell you enough, man. These lithium batteries, I'm switching all my batteries over to them. As my seal lead acids die, I don't replace them with seal lead acids. They're freaking heavy. This battery right here weighs more than this 30 amp hour. This is a 15. It's ridiculous. This 8 amp hour battery weighs, I hadn't weighed it, but it feels like it weighs more than this 20 amp hour. So they're also lighter. All right. So I hope you learned a little bit of something. I know it was a long video, but that's just the way that I do things, and I really want to try to give you a lot of good, solid information. And guys, this is all from actual testing with a load tester and running these batteries to see exactly what they will deliver. All right. So Mike at Herd 360, subscribe to my channel. And guys, man, I really appreciate your patience in this video and watching it all the way through if you did. So you guys have a good day. I got to go to work.